the next segment of awards. Ladies and gentlemen, we are quite excited to announce our next panel discussion, which would be on planning and policy for a digital economy. With this, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists for this panel discussion. May I please now invite Professor Charan Singh, co-founder, EGROW, and distinguished fellow SKOCH Foundation to be on the stage. So we welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a SKOCH awardee. His academic contributions include teaching macroeconomics, monetary policies, and global economics at institutions such as IIM Vishakhapatnam and IIM Rohtak. Professor Singh's extensive career encompasses roles such as RBI Chair Professor of Economics at IIM Bangalore, Senior Economics at International Monetary Funds in Washington, D.C., and a Research Director at Reserve Bank of India. So we welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us. With this, may I please now invite Mr. Amitabh Nag, CEO, Digital India Bhashini Division, METI, to kindly join us on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Bhashini aims to bridge linguistic barriers across India by leveraging artificial intelligence and natural language processing technologies. Under his able leadership, Bhashini has developed capabilities such as text-to-text translation in 22 scheduled Indian languages, automated speech recognition, text-to-speech synthesis, and optical character recognition. Sir, we welcome you. With this, may I please now invite Professor Suranjali Tandon, Associate Professor, National Institute of Public Finance and Policy. Ma'am, we welcome you on the stage. Dr. Suranjali Tandon is an Associate Professor at the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, specializing in direct and international taxation, sustainable finance, financial markets, and climate finance. She has contributed extensively to tax policy research, and her expertise informs policy discussion on taxation and sustainable finance. Ma'am, we welcome you. With this, I also request Dr. Gursharan Singh Dhanjal, Vice Chairman SKOCH, to kindly join the panel as moderator, and also request Sir to begin with his introductory remarks.
We need mics on. Welcome to this post-lunch session. I know it's always a challenge after a sumptuous lunch and a beautiful lunch that was served outside to stay awake. It's also a challenge for the panelists to ensure that what they want to say, you're able to listen, because generally post-lunch sessions, one could be dozing off. At IIM Bangalore, where I was on the RBI chair, I used to tell the students, it's your duty to keep me awake. If I sleep off, you can all have a day off, but it's your duty to keep me awake. So the students would ask me 100 questions in the post-lunch session. So I'm sure you will enjoy this discussion on inclusive growth and digital world. This is absolutely a fantastic topic, something which is extremely important to all of us. You would agree with me, I'm sure, on that. And to discuss this topic, while I am going to be chairing this panel discussion, I'll be making some initial remarks. And then we have a very illustrious set of panelists with me, including Dr. Charan, who's the Vice Chair of SKOCH. So let me first formally thank SKOCH for organizing this important 100th SKOCH Summit that shows that how much they have been into policy making and contributing to Indian policy making. And I've known them for now more than 10 years. They're doing this regularly and doing it in different parts of the country. And you have also noticed the way they do their analysis, evaluations, and then they put it on record by awarding people who are doing exceedingly well. I also want to thank SKOCH for not only organizing this important event, but inviting me and my co-panelists to join here. I would like to discuss and begin with the standard familiar concept of financial inclusion that has revolutionized the Indian banking. I will take a minute's time to introduce you to what really financial inclusion was, and I am happy to share that we had been thinking in our country of serving the poor and the unbanked for more than 100 years. Many commercial banks set up in India, including Punjab and Singh Bank, which I chaired for 5 years, set up in 1908, was with a single objective of ensuring that we are able to reach the unbanked population of our country. Many banks have done the same. The cooperative movement that started in 1903 in our country also followed the same. 1947, when we got our independence, we nationalized State Bank of India in 1955, same objective, reach the unbanked. We were not able to achieve it significantly. So in 1969, we nationalized our commercial banks, same objective. And in 1980, we did another round of nationalization in which a bank like mine, Punjab and Singh Bank, was also nationalized. Despite this objective of reaching the unbanked, much could not be achieved. So much so, when I was in the Reserve Bank and undertook a study on financial inclusion, by 2008, that is nearly 28 years after the second round of nationalization of commercial banks, we were surprised to see not even 50% of the Indian population had a bank account. It is in 2014 when the Prime Minister went for financial inclusion on a mission mode, and we know what happened then. 55 crore Indians, you can call them subprime, or you can call them unbanked, joined the fold. How did this revolution take place? Today, we are able to say that at least 97% of the Indian households, somebody has the bank account. How did we achieve this? Through digital revolution, which we all know the Jam Trinity. So the Jan Dhan came in, but most importantly, the phone came in. This digital revolution that happened at such a rapid pace is familiar to all of us. But digital revolution is much more than simply the Jam Trinity and opening of bank accounts. So let me just enumerate a few of them, and then we will go further. Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, all these are a significant part, integral part of the digital economy. National Digital Communication Policy of 2018 further supported this growth by advancing digital infrastructure and expanding broadband access. Today, there are over 65 crore smartphone users in our country, and in subscribers are nearly 95 crores. We are a population of about 140 crores. So just imagine where the digital world has taken us and how fast it's expanding. The telecom sector is also evolving with the expansion of 4G and the ongoing rollout of 5G networks. India's digital economy boasts major players like Indian IT giants Infosys, Tata Consultancy, Wipro, and these are alongside US companies such as Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, Google, and Amazon. None of these companies, or I can say in most of these companies, it is the Indian mind which is working, even if they are international, US-based companies. There are various issues involved when we speak about the digital economy. There are issues of regulatory environment. How are we going to look at it? And part of it, I think, is going to be covered by Professor Tandon. There is a digital trade barrier, which we have to think it's a challenge, and one has to prepare for it. But digital economy provides unparalleled opportunities, unparalleled opportunities. There are cross-sector, cross-country opportunities which are becoming available now across our country. Not only that, because of the digital revolution, we in India are able to reach far and wide, even in the hinterlands, places which we had never thought about. Most of us live in metropolitans, and we know in the metropolitans, the penetration of internet banking, and if nothing else, of BHIM payment and other UPI is intense. But even in smaller towns, if you go, the situation is the same. To a great extent, and I must share this example with you, when I was at the IIM Bangalore as RBI chair professor in Karnataka, a study had been conducted blaming the smartphone for children who are not concentrating on their studies and also indulging in antisocial activities. Just 3 days back, I was in a university in Hisar, and the faculty over there was telling me exactly the same thing. Sir, in our class, students are indulging in too much of online gaming, and their concentration from academics is not there. There are pitfalls of these digital footprints. On one hand, you find the poorest of the poor, even on a small thela, availing mudra loan or not even availing mudra loan, small amount of loans, are able to conduct their business through UPI payment and are excited about it. I'm sure you would have witnessed going in a Ola car or Uber car, the driver will tell you, I don't need cash, I don't have the change to give you. Here is my, please focus on this and make me the payment. It's so exciting to see in a country like ours, people who cannot speak in English, who cannot communicate, but when it comes to internet banking or UPI, they're absolutely aware of it and they're taking the advantage of it. And that is so exciting for a policymaker. So the digital economy is making progress. We have seen its application in front of our eyes roll out in 10 years. E-commerce is something which we are all familiar with. Most of the books that me and you buy are through Amazon, as well as we know how through Swiggy we can order anything, anytime, or within 10 minutes, even before we blink, the parcel is with us. Within our country, there are places and states like Telangana, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, even Haryana, where digital footprints are becoming very, very strong. And this is something to be really proud of. Along with this digital progress that is taking place, there is a worry of data protection and privacy. And in my assignment at the IMF, from 2009 to 2012, which is nearly a decade and more away, I've heard young minds telling me, before the husband comes to know, we will know that the wife is on the family way. That sharp intervention they can make just the moment the doctor prescribes a test and the test is positive. How about data protection and privacy? I'm not surprised. Even in the banking sector today, as you make a call to the call center, your number, the reason for your query, and the answers that you're seeking would flash in front of the call center employee to guide him. This is the person, this is the issue most probably this person is going to ask you. Here are responses which you can give. AI is moving so sharply. Yes, internet and mobile penetration is exceedingly well on the way, but as I mentioned, there are challenges up there too. Money is getting transferred in a flash of a second just by at the speed of an electron. And in case there is an error and amounts are large, you can imagine the challenges it poses. While e-commerce is growing, how much satisfactory would it be for the manufacturer, for the trader, and for the consumer? Then there are issues of taxation and regulation. How much would you like to regulate online gaming? Because online gaming, on one hand, is helping you create innovation, but on the other hand, could be tempting you into online gambling. How about the existing infrastructure? For example, the education system. Once AI sets in, what happens to the education system? Would I like to listen to a professor who's standing in front of me? Or would I like to listen to a professor from Harvard or Stanford who would be giving lectures and getting them recorded and putting it? At the end of the day, the exams will be similar. While there is going to be convergence of knowledge and qualitative improvement in across the globe, on the planet, in every field, there's going to be an issue. Similarly on health issues, while online health facilities would be available, how much can we tap on them? How much should we tap on them? Similar is the story of banking. Would we need brick and mortar branches? Or would people be just satisfied with internet banking? In our analysis, in our country, and you'll be surprised, in countries like Australia where I have worked, there is a segment of population which is looking forward to going to the physical branch and talking to the counter clerk because they have no one else to take care and they have no one else to talk to. So there's going to be a revolutionary change in e-commerce that we are thinking or we are used to in our daily life. So now we have to think in terms of both the demand side and the supply side. On the demand side, I've already mentioned that there are issues of data protection and privacy. On the supply side, one will have to be careful into level playing field and how the regulation can be effective so that in this sharply innovative area, there is a level playing field for everybody. Looking forward, we will have to think now in terms of strengthening data protection framework. We will also have to think through this digital revolution. Whenever innovations take place, the past record is some segment of the society, generally the creamy segment of the society, benefits. While I started my initial remarks from Jam Trinity, insisting that in our country, we have been reasonably inclusive of the benefits of digital economy, one will have to guard that the downtrodden in the economy are not left behind. There is always a trade-off between regulation and innovation. How much should we regulate? How much of creativity should we allow so that the creativity and innovation does not suffer because of regulation? That one has to really, it's a challenge and one has to think through this. On building of cybersecurity capabilities, and I'm sure by now everybody sitting in this room have had some bad experience on cybersecurity or digital banking, sure about it. We have been able to resolve it. Many times it takes a long time to resolve it. One has to think through this. The last point I want to make, and on that much elaboration will be made by Professor Tandon, the issue of taxation. On the digital world, something very good. Moment you enter the digital world, you leave a transaction trace, whatever it be. Can be financial transaction, can be any other transaction. There is a trace available for the investigating agencies and the evaluative agencies to know who is doing what in our country. That is very useful too, and that can be very detrimental too. If it's going to leave a trace, it can be detrimental to commerce also. Who is selling me the product? Do I want to buy the product from this shop or from this person? It can be discriminatory. So one will have to really think through the revolution, the digital revolution where we are. And one will have to think through about the role of artificial intelligence that we will permit it to play in our private life and in our country. Let me conclude by sharing my interaction with Michael Spence, the Nobel laureate, and one who's pioneering the application of AI across the world. When I spoke to Michael Spence about its application to India, and as I've discussed in the last 10 minutes with you what all implications it can have, especially for a country like India where 1 crore people enter the workforce, and the application of AI where drones will be needed more than the fighter planes, where soldiers will not be needed as much as of today, but cameras will do their job, where policemen on the street will not be needed, but the cameras on the streets will do the job. What do we do? And Michael Spence, experienced Nobel laureate, as I've mentioned, and interacting with many policymakers across the world, was clear. You will have to take your own decisions as to what speed will AI take over your economy and how much time you want to give to AI to take over these activities. So we will have to follow the digital world, the digital economy with great respect and also with great caution. With that, I will then invite, I think, Professor, you'd like to come first or you'd like to come first? Okay. So I'll then like to invite Mr. Amitabh to share his thoughts with you. Welcome. Project, and the way you mentioned it in the 5 dimensions, extremely useful for us. Many of us who've been into the system for a long time have seen translations taking place. Sometimes the literally translations used to be playing havoc. I've done it in the Reserve Bank while translating our statutory reports, done it when messages as SMS have to go from commercial banks to its customers. But now through the Bhashni and the way you've mentioned it is so good, reassuring that we are technologically on a very sound footing. With that, let me move on to Professor Tandon now. She is going to be speaking to us on taxation and aspects of regulation. Professor Tandon.
Thank you.
Happy to say that we are on the track in terms of the conversion models are concerned on all the areas excepting few areas of text to speech, which we are, doing it. So these are the 5 problems which we solved. And how did we solve it? At that point of time when the mission started, artificial intelligence was still in labs. So we collaborated with about 70 odd research institutes and asked them to form about 8 consortiums. And each of the consortium were given a problem statement. And those problem statements were used, were created, the models were created and passed on. Then the question was, how do these models render as a service? So there is a API platform which is created, which is called National Hub for Language Technology, which renders this as a service. The AI models are converted into, services through APIs, and it is rendered as a service. And this is the National Hub of Language Technology, or NHLT as it is called, is hosting these 300 plus models as service IDs on its platform. And today this NHLT actually has approximately 300 customers, and the system is inferenced about 6 million times a day, 60 lakhs times a day is the inferencing for various services, automatic speech recognition, text to text, text to speech, and other things. The one more issue which we realized when we were wanting to develop these AI models was that only 6 to 7 languages had enough data which was available in the system, digital data, so that we can train the AI model. So the digital data which was available in 6 to 7 languages. Rest of the data was created from the field in a unique exercise which was carried out in the country. So what we did was that we went to the field with handheld on the with the picture on the mobile, and that mobile actually, we asked the people to speak about it. When they spoke about it, we captured that, and the automatic speech as well as text was captured as a parallel corpus. Having done this particular activity, we are now in a position to service, as I said, 300 customers across 6 million times inference a day. The crux of this particular thing is that when we are looking at this system, what are we looking at? Because there are parallel initiatives by various private organizations and multinational corporations also happening. So the mission was announced with the intent, and the initiative was carried forward with 5 basic things, and that is the objective of this program. First is that no language should be left behind. So that is first part of the activity, which is we captured 22. And when we captured 22 and announced that we are going to do it for 22, others came back and said that I will do it for 100, which is a good thing for the country, and we would like market forces to move forward. Second thing is that although it is an AI system, we are, going in for 100% accuracy in the system, and this is a function of how much data we collect and how much training we give to the models. So that's an ongoing journey which we are right now taking. Third part of the thing which is there is voice first. And the voice first activity, which Mr. Abhishek Singh also talked about, is a strategy which we have moved forward. Because with voice first, we are, not only transcending the language divide, we are also bridging the digital divide, and we are also bridging the literacy divide, the 3 divides which I talked about. Because now you can communicate with voice to get the things done through the machine. Then we are also looking at that we should basically get into the use cases and transactions which affect and impact everyday life, which is saying that if I am, looking at what is that, if I'm reading a book in my language, I should be able to apply the scholarship in my language only. I should not be moving on to English. The idea is if you want to learn English, you learn. But language should not become a barrier for your this basic description. So this is the 4th thing, that we want to be pervasive and ensure that at no place a person feels that he should be learning another language, otherwise he is doomed. This was something which we would have heard, all of us would have heard at a certain point in time. And the 5th part of it is that this technology should be, affordable. So as we do more on it, the systems will be used more, but it will be government's responsibility. And as a government mission, we want this technology to be available. And another part where we are actually trying to work on safe and trusted mode is that we ensure that these models which are there are open source. The data sets on which the model is trained is open sourced, so that there is a social audit possible, and we do the first smallest step for safe and trusted AI part of the activity. So this is language being the largest use case of AI, and this happens to be one system which is being used currently and is constantly evolving and developing. I stop at this. In the next round, I would perhaps give you some examples of use cases, how we are working on transcending the language divide, digital divide, literacy divide, how we are in a position to increase the productivity.
Thank you so much, giving us all the details about how this Bhashni is going to work in digital activities. Or is it the revolution that is taking place and having an impact on each one of us? What is it? So as economists and as statisticians, there is no consensus as such on how do you define digital economy. But if you look at the OECD definition of what is digital economy, they will give you various versions of it. And the indication that I've just given to you, or a summary that I've just shared with you. So it's something which is in process, and very soon the economists and the statisticians will have to put their heads down, and you know that all these national income statistics that we speak about is actually decided in the United Nations. How will we define it? And then it will be uniformly applied across the planet. As of now, the digital economy term and the statistics and the component of the economy that is digital has yet not been decided. But the closest that I can come to the question that you have raised is the OECD definition of digital economy, which I have summarized at the beginning for you. I totally agree with you. Will there be job displacement, or will there be job reorientation? In case there's going to be job reorientation, then we have to be ready with skilling that should be able to absorb displaced people from one sector to the other. That's also a Herculean task in a country which has 100 languages, which has different topographies, and which have different contributors to GDP. That's also a Herculean task. In any case, now that we have started thinking about it, and thanks to SKOCH also, which has brought up this issue of what is it, now that we have started thinking about it, and the world is thinking about it, we will have to find a way out. Only distinction that we have in India is nowhere in the world is the population beaming like in India. The artificial intelligence, when it was being spearheaded in places where there was no population to work. And therefore you found these innovations at such places like driverless cars, they don't have people. I was in Germany about 10 years ago. They were telling me we don't have people to run our trains. And I said, well, in India we have all types of trains, from steam engines to the most modern locomotives. So why don't you take our people? They said, well, those are different issues, like migration gets involved there. But we don't have people to run our trains. And those are the guys who are innovating in artificial intelligence. So my understanding is, like in a family, the child's requirements are different from that of a parent, which are different from that of a grandparent. In an economy, the requirement of the gardener is different from that of the technologist working in the firm. Similarly, on the planet, different economies face different challenges, and these innovations have to be adapted or adopted very, very carefully. So with this, I do not know, Guru Charan, do you want us to wind up? Okay. So with this, that makes my job far easier. I don't have to face the questions from the audience. So I must thank you all for your patience listening. Want to thank the panelists again, and I want to thank SKOCH. It's a very celebratory occasion of 100th Summit. Congratulations to you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being the part of this incredible session. Let's keep the momentum going on as we continue to explore the limitless possibility. Once again, we thank all our esteemed panelists who are right now present on the stage for their wonderful insights. Thank you so much, sir.